So I just want to say this. So guys, I don't know if you noticed, but Bernie and Pramila Jayapal, I saw her, and there were other people there. There was a whole presentation of they're now taking Medicare for all single payer. They're creating that. They're going to push that forward now. They're going to do it now when it has absolutely no chance of going anywhere. They're going to do it now. They weren't pushing for it under Joe.
Not once.
So Bernie is now, honestly, he is working against us. And I hate to say it, he is working against us. The fact that he is on an oligarchy tour to usher people to nowhere in the Democratic Party, you're bringing up single-payer healthcare because you know it can't go anywhere, and you're not talking about the genocide. This is the friggin' problem. He's doing what he did. I don't know when we played the video of when he was doing his speech and the Palestine protesters got taken out. And he just kept trying to segue into millionaires in this country, billionaire, blah, 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 blah. The top
talk about not being able to read the room.
He is now pushing. They're pushing Medicare for all. Get the fuck out of here with that. You are wasting our time, sir. Like, I am so enraged. That will go nowhere. You know it will go nowhere. And all you're doing is keeping people distracted so that they stay attached to the Democratic Party. That's it. You are just part of that strategy that is post this election running around. What can we do? What can we do? Okay, you do this and you do this. We'll put David Hogue here. We'll do this. You're running to nowhere. It's infuriating. And I'm so loath to say this about Bernie, but he is working against us now.
Yeah. And they had an opportunity to force the vote in 2020. They didn't do it. They could have forced the vote on this bill that Pramila Jayapal co-sponsored and wrote.
You can write it and sponsor it and not be pushing it, not be making it a big deal. You had all the way up until October 7th to be making that your top friggin' priority. I don't recall that coming out of your mouth then. But now that it has no chance of going anywhere, we're going to focus on that. That's where we're going to focus. Nothing happens until this shit stops. Nothing. And also they know it'll go nowhere, which just makes it extra infuriating.
Yeah, it's like,
fuck Bernie at this point.
What are you doing, man? And okay, so we are going to play a short clip of this, but this is Bernie. This is the senator from Vermont telling you why we are going to fight for single-payer health care, and it's going to go nowhere.
For the fact that health care is a human right. For the fact that we waste enormous amounts of money on administration and on profiteering and on advertising. For all of those reasons and more, today, Pramila, Debbie, and I are introducing Medicare for all single payer.
So let's see.
In other words,
Bernie Sanders is standing right next to Debbie Dingell, who typically sits next to Debbie Wasserman Schultz when they're sitting in the congressional chambers during speeches. This person, keep in mind, is in Congress because she married a man 30 years older than her that was in Congress who passed on and bequeathed the seat to her. And this woman's going to be fighting for single-payer health care?
Not a chance. Well, where was she before? I don't recall her fighting for that before.
Where do they think this is going?
It's just a tactic because they're out of friggin' ideas in terms of how to keep people in their party. They're struggling, and they should be. I am so disgusted right now with all of this. They know it can't go anywhere. And now you have, again, Bernie leading yet another movement of people to the fucking desert of nothing.
You know what I also noticed that maybe you've noticed as well? And this is being done. I'm not sure where this is being done because Dingell is in Michigan and Pramila is in Washington. But wherever it is, if there's one thing we can tell clear as day, there's not a lot of people there.
No, they're probably in DC.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It probably is DC.
That's where they all have in common. I mean,
the angle that they are shooting this from, it is obvious that there may be 50 people there. If there's that many.
There are. Yeah, for sure. If it were a bigger crowd, we'd have a much wider angle.
100%.
Here we go. Let's see. They're zooming out. They're zooming out. That's as far as it's going. You can see the end of the line right there.
Let me briefly tell you what this legislation is about. Our legislation would provide comprehensive care.
All right, we don't need to
all
hear the
Americans,
spiel.
rich, poor, young or old,
I'm
with
so angry.
zero out-of-pocket expense.
Yeah, but you're not going to do anything to force that. And let me just say one other thing. National Nurses United, I will never stop talking about the fact that you skipped on even talking to Jen Perelman when she ran for Congress against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who's one of the most anti-healthcare representatives in all of politics. Forget the fucking Democrats.
Right? They endorsed her.
It's just like the teachers union.
Well, it is.
I stopped supporting the teachers union when I realized that they don't actually do anything to help the students. This is all about teachers. It's not about whether the students are being properly taught. It's all about protecting the union interest for teachers. That's it.
Well, and this in particular, by the way, it's not hard to get a union group to all come out and stand for a photo op. This is so inorganic. So basically the nurses union just called their chapter people or whatever and had them come out and rally for this. This is so inorganic. This is the Democrats struggling to keep the camera on them, struggling to keep people remotely interested in their nonsense.
This is the biggest reason why they are allowed. This is why there is no resistance. There's why there is no competition. Because when your party is dying, their attitude is let Trump go nuts. Let him go nuts and see how far he can sink this country, because that is the only way we're going to get back into power. If we even for a second attempt to govern properly and create some type of a counterbalance to Trump, Trump is so much more popular than us with people who are aggressively interested in politics that we could never win again. And Trump is not going anywhere until he's dead, because even after he's out of office, he will continue his movement and he will support people that will win. That is the difference. So in their mind, their attitude is, let's do the bare minimum to see what we can do to get back into power, because for them, that's really all they care about. They're not going to do what is necessary to create that infrastructural change in this country that is so desperately needed. That's the difference.